everybody, Stephanie here with the Machine Gun Nest with our next legal update. So we have some cool information that Rasmussen poll has found, and I bet you're not going to be surprised. They have found that most Americans are not in favor of more strict gun control or new legislation, and that about 63% of those polled said we should just focus on enforcing the current laws on the books. I'll read to you their questions. It said, 1, does the United States need stricter gun control laws? 2, does the United States need stricter enforcement of existing gun control laws? Or 3, which would do more to reduce gun violence in America, passing new laws or stricter enforcement of existing gun control laws? So even within that 3% margin of error, Americans are overwhelmingly in support of just enforcing what we already have on the books. I mean, even here in the state of Maryland, we have so many people committing violence with firearms, and they're just allowed to walk free. And I've read before from many different sources that between 60 and 80% of crimes committed with firearms are not even prosecuted. What's interesting is Rasmussen does a good job of keeping a general pulse on the country regarding how everybody's feeling. So you've probably noticed a trend that some type of horrific mass shooting will happen, and then afterwards we see a media surge supporting more gun control. But we need to ask ourselves, is the volume of that side of the argument indicative of what the people truly want? So if we rewind back to March of last year, Rasmussen conducted a similar poll, and it said most voters don't think gun control can actually prevent mass shootings. So despite the horrors of these situations, most people understand that more gun control isn't actually going to staunch this. So if we fast forward a month from there, in April of 2021, so again last year, they have found that 65% of those polled said we should just focus on enforcing the current laws on the books. So what we can conclude just from this bit of information is that people aren't interested in adding more laws. We just need to work on enforcing what we already have. We just need to actually make sure that we're prosecuting and following through. Now, why does this matter? So what's interesting, The Hill just ran a piece by Alexander Bolton, just came out the other day, entitled "Democrats Show Little Appetite for Biden's Call for More Gun Control." So what we even see manifesting in Congress is that there really aren't that many pushes right now on a federal level for more gun control, and it's because the Democrats know that they're not going to have the support that they seem to be touting. It says, and I quote from Alexander Bolton, but there seems to be little, if any, chance Biden's calls will be answered. So what's interesting, it says from the article here, negotiations between Senator Chris Murphy, who's a Democrat from Connecticut, and Senator John Cornyn, Republican from Texas, they basically stalled out in their negotiations over the summer, knowing that it wasn't actually going to go anywhere. And Igor Volsky, who's one of the co-founders of Guns Down America, said that the Senate Majority Leader, we all know that that's the great Chuck Schumer, said that he's not even going to really be pursuing more legislation because he knows he's not going to have the support. So right now, in a 50-50 split in the Senate, they don't have the additional votes that they would need from the Republican Party especially to pursue any more of this legislation. So if we look back at 2020 and 2021, we had COVID, we had riots, we had an election, and that led to a lot of panic buying. So what that means is we had a lot of non-traditional gun buyers coming in and buying their very first firearm. They bought guns and their minds were changed on the issue because they saw that there is instability and that at the end of the day, you just have yourself that you can rely on to protect yourself. I heard a really great quote that says, "Police are only minutes away when seconds count the most." That's something that really resonates with me. And so what has happened is it's harder to pass gun control on an educated base. Most of these first-time gun buyers from the non-traditional group previously are now educated on firearms and how they work, and all the token legislation that has typically been passed before isn't going to fly anymore because these are new owners who actually know what they're talking about. So on a federal level and congressionally, we can see that gun control isn't likely to pass and it's not really favorable. Now, this has nothing to do with the ATF and what's going on over there. And it also doesn't mean that locally and on a state level that things still can't happen. But you still have an ability to enact change. So please get involved with your local local politicians, email them, write them, let them know that you do support the Second Amendment. But most importantly, if you have any friends or family members who might have an open mind about this, invite them to the range. Ask them to come shooting with you and just have a great time together and explain to them the truth behind firearms, because you have the power to change minds, and that is ultimately what we need. We'll keep you updated as more of this develops.